Hi everyone, this is Jack from Maths Forge, and in today's lesson we're going to be doing standard form calculations. So by now you should know what standard form is. It is a number written in the form of a times 10 to the power of b, where the number a is between 1 and less than 10, and the number b is an integer. So that is a whole number, it could be positive or negative, this b. So let's try this one-star example. Here we're being asked to convert 719.4 times 10 to the power of negative 5 to standard form. So the reason this number here is not in standard form is because of this 719.4. This number here should be between 1 and less than 10. So how we can actually get this number here to be converted to standard form is by doing the following. I'm going to divide this number by 100. And the reason I'm dividing it by 100 is because it's going to push all of these numbers 2 places to the right. So dividing it by 100 gives us 7.194. Now this is a number between 1 and less than 10. However, because we divided by 100, we're going to have to multiply this 10 to the negative 5 by 100. And the reason for this is to maintain the value of the number. So we're going to divide this number here on the left by 100 to get it to be 7.194, and we're going to multiply this number here by 100. And don't forget, when you're timesing by 100, it's the same as timesing by 10 squared. So we're multiplying two base numbers that are the same, which means we're going to add their powers. So 10 to the minus 5 times 10 to the power of 2 minus 5 plus 2 is going to give us 10 to the power of negative 3. And this should be our final answer as it's written in standard form. And if we check our answer, there it is. We'll do another one-star example very quickly. Let's convert 69,000 times 10 squared to standard form. So the reason it's not in standard form right now is because of the 69,000. We have to get it to be a number that's between 1 and less than 10. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to divide it by 10,000. So I'm going to divide it by 10,000. And this is going to give us 6.9. There's no need to write the 3 zeros here since it doesn't really affect the value. Now, because we divided by 10,000, we're going to have to multiply this 10 squared by 10,000 to keep everything balanced. So we're going to times it by 10,000. And timesing by 10,000 is the same as timesing by 10 to the power of 4. So 10 squared multiplied by 10 to the power of 4 is going to give us 10 to the power of 6, because of course 2 plus 4 is 6. And now this is the number written in standard form. 6.9 times 10 to the power of 6. And if we check our answer, there it is. Let's do a 2-star example. So here we're being asked to add two numbers in standard form. Now, how to add numbers in standard form is you first have to make sure that their powers of 10 are the same. In this case, they're not. We have 10 to the power of 4 here on the left and 10 to the power of 5 here on the right. So let's go ahead and solve this problem here first. Now, my recommendation from experience is that you always take the lower power, so 4, and get that to be like the higher power, 5. So in order for me to get this 10 to the power of 4 to become like 10 to the power of 5, I'm going to have to multiply it by 10 to the power of 1, or just 10. And because we're multiplying this 10 to the power of 4 by 10, we have to divide this 1.3 by 10 to keep the value of this standard form number balanced. And so this is going to give us 0.13 here on the left, and on the right here, this 10 to the 4 now becomes 10 to the power of 5, because of course you multiply the same base number, so you add their powers. So this standard form number on the left has now become 0.13 times 10 to the power of 5. I'm going to put brackets around it, and now we're going to add it to 7.7 times 10 to the power of 5. So we've succeeded in getting the powers of 10 to be the same. And the reason this is important is because now the calculation is very straightforward. If your powers of 10 are the same, all you have to do is add these two numbers here to the left, and that's it. So 0.13 plus 7.7 is going to give us 7.83. And this is times 10 to the power of 5. And the reason this works, you have to think of the powers of 10 as objects. So I have 0.13 lots of 10 to the power of 5, and I'm adding it to 7.7 lots of 10 to the power of 5. So we're collecting like terms with our 10 to the power of 5s. So all we have to do is add these two numbers here to the left at the front of the standard form numbers and write a single times 10 to the power of 5. So now if we check our answer, there it is. And the reason I said you should manipulate the smaller power of 10 to be like the larger power of 10 is because when you get to this stage here, your answer is written in standard form. There is no need to do any further manipulation. If we were to get this 5 to become smaller like this 4 here, then this final step would require one extra step of calculation. So remember, take the smaller power of 10 and manipulate it to be like the larger power of 10. We'll do another 2-star example, this time with negative powers. So I can see here that my powers are different, and out of -2 and -3, -3 is the smallest. Because don't forget, when you're dealing with negative numbers, the further left it is on the number line, the smaller it is. So in this case, -3 is smaller. So since -3 is smaller, I'm going to get it to try and be like this -2. And I'm going to do this by multiplying this 10 to the power of -3 by 10 to the power of 1. Because of course, -3 plus 1 will give us -2. Now, in order to do this, I have to divide this 4.2 by 10 to keep things balanced. And we end up with the following. 10 to the power of -2 multiplied by 0.42. And I'll put brackets around this. And this is being subtracted from 2.6 times 10 to the power of -2. Now, since the powers of 10 are the same, I can go ahead and do this 2.6 minus this 0.42 and just write times 10 to the power of -2 at the end. So 2.6 minus 0.42 is 2.18. And since the powers of 10 are the same, I can just go ahead and write times 10 to the power of -2. And this should be our final answer. And if we check our answer, there it is. Now we'll do a 3-star example. Now for the 3-star examples, we're going to be dealing with the multiplication of numbers in standard form. So in this example here, we're asked to multiply these two numbers in standard form. How is this done? Well, we approach this by taking your first two values of each standard form number, so the 8.3 and 4.1, and we're going to multiply them together. And we're going to multiply this onto the powers of 10 being multiplied together. So it's going to be 10 to the -6 multiplied by 10 to the power of 3. And now we calculate the numbers to the left and the numbers to the right. We end up with the following: 34.03 and 10 to the power of -3, because of course -6 plus 3 is -3. Now this number here is not in standard form. In order to convert it to standard form, we have to manipulate this number here to be between 1 and less than 10. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this by 10. This will now give us 3.403. Now because I divided the left-hand number by 10, I'm going to have to multiply this right-hand number by 10. And this is going to give us 10 to the power of -2. And then I put my multiplication symbol in between them. This number is now in standard form. The first number is between 1 and less than 10, and the power of 10 is an integer. So if we check our answer, there it is. And that's it for our lesson on standard form calculations.